Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So please subscribe my channel, like, share, comment. So today we are going to discuss a new topic. So metal working process. So in metal working process, hot working process, cold working process are there. So now we are going to study hot working process. So hot working process means the plastic deformation of metals above the recrystallization of temperature is called a hot working process. So that means there is some recrystallization temperature. So now consider the recrystallization temperature as 1000 degrees. So if we heated the metal above this 1000 degrees centigrade, then we call as a hot working process. So that means if we consider as a recrystallization temperature is 1000 degrees centigrade, so the hot metal is heated up to a plastic state that is above the 1000 degrees centigrade. So then we call it as a hot working process. So however, it should not be heated very high. Very high should not be heated. The metal should not be heat very high, because which results in the grain growth. That means there is a grain growth will be different. So if we heat it more, so there should be a some only somewhat heat above the decreasing temperature. So for that we want to call as a hot working process. This is a diagram of hot working process as well as cold working process. So these are two rollers. So there is a hot billet or hot metal which is in the form of plastic state. So the metal is heated up to a plastic state. So that is a this one is plastic state material. So under two rollers, when we place into the under two rollers, that means the rollers are rotating in opposite directions. So when we pass the all hot metal into these rollers in between, then we get a reduction in volume. That means reduction in diameter and increase in length. So the length is increases and decreasing in diameter. This is hot working process. So see the grain size how it is. So before entering into the rollers, there is a grain growth is very high. There is big. So when we cross it from the rollers, the size will be decreased, fine. It becomes a fine grains. So core grains and becomes a fine grains. So this is a hot working process. For this there is some advantages and disadvantages. So advantages are which are done by the hot working process. So the metal which are done by the hot working process are have a good mechanical properties. So mechanical properties are improved, and their extension deformation is possible because of plasticity. So the billet is or metal is heated up to a plastic stage. For that extension, how much of extension, how much length this should be required, so that can be obtained by the hot working process. This is one advantage. So for this hot working, so it is in hot condition. So if you apply less pressure, it will be extension will be take. So for that power required is less. So and good ductility. So this is the advantages. Now it has a disadvantages also. So this disadvantages are tooling cost is very high. So for this setup is tooling cost is very high. So rollers and other setups will be very high. So next, surface finish is poor. So if we done this hot working process, surface finish will not get accuracy. So this is a disadvantage. Now coming to the cold working process. The cold working process is a plastic deformation of metals below the recrystallization temperature is called as a cold working process. So the means the billet or metal which is heated below the recrystallization temperature. The recrystallization temperature is let us consider 1000 degrees. So if we heated the metal into 800 degrees centigrade, then the process is called cold working process. So normally cold working process is conducted at room temperatures. So cold working process are obtained by the only in room temperatures, not in any high temperatures. So for this, say this is a diagram for the cold working process also. So if we heated the billet below the recrystallization temperature, that means the metal is heated up to 800 degrees centigrade, which is passed in between the rollers, then we get a reduction in volume, that means reduction in diameter and increase in length. So here the process indicates that if we want to manufacture a long bars or reduce diameters and increase length, So that kind of products we can be get by this hot working process. So this is called as a metal working process. So for this cold working process there is advantages and disadvantages. For this process, advantages: the surface finish is very good when compared to the hot working process. Cold working process has good surface finish. So and there is a close dimensionals can be obtained. So dimensions which what we think that will we get by this cold working process. So no oxidation, that means the metal should not corrosion will not be occur, no oxidation will be done. Then the strength and hardness are increased by the cold working process. So hardness and strength will be increased. So for there is a disadvantage also. So because of cool working process means we want to apply more. So this is not heated at a more temperature, this is heated only up to certain temperature only. So for that results we want to add more pressure, that means it requires high power. So only suitable for ductile materials, this is done by only for ductile materials. So for the hot working process and the cold working process, if you heated the temperature above the recrystallization, then we call as a hot working. So if we heated below the recrystallization temperature, called as a recrystallization. So now consider as a 1000 degrees is 1000 degrees centigrade is a recrystallization temperature. So if we above the recrystallization consider 1200 1400 whatever the temperature, that is hot working process. So that means below these 800 700 600, so these are cold working process. Hot working process, cold working process. So this is a hot working process and cold working process. So in next class we discuss the different types of rollers, how many types of rollers, 2 mills, 4 mills, different types of mills we can study in next class. Thanks. So please subscribe my channel.